What's up guys, Jivantv here, bringing you another video. As you all know, Trio FNCS is rapidly approaching. It got rescheduled to next weekend, so I thought I would make a video on a variety of tips you need to keep in mind during FNCS. This will include early game, mid game, late game tips, fighting, rotating, how to play the format, and more. Before we hop into the video, I just wanted to say thank you to the 400 people using code Jivantv. It's the absolute best way to support me. Anyways, let's hop into this video. So first off, we're going to start with some early game tips. The biggest advice I have is stick close together. Land together or at the houses closest to your teammates. Regroup once you have good loot and push as a team. Let's say there's two teams at the place that you land. Do not get stuck in the middle of them. Try to get the other teams to fight, then clean up after them. If you're the team that's pinched between the other two teams at the place you land, try to rotate around one of the teams to get out of the center. If you're in the center of those two teams, you're most likely gonna die. If you get high ground, stick to the high ground. If one of your members drops and gets taken out, you're in big trouble. Pressure from like 1 or 2 layers above and get a variety of angles, but don't get too close or you might get boxed. And vice versa, if you're on low ground, try to get an enemy full boxed and take that person out as a team. Anytime you get somebody full boxed, tell your teammates and then wait for them to get there, and then you can all shoot them at once. If it's not possible for your teammates to get there in time, then make sure you set up a good right-hand peek so that you don't die and take a 50-50. Because the most important thing is that you stay alive in trios. If your whole trio stays alive, then, you win the fight. Let's say you're on low ground and the enemy team is not dropping from high ground to try to take shots on you. What you can do is either dip from the fight because it's not going anywhere, or you can have one player on your trio try to sneak around to get a beam on the team on high ground. This is going to give you an upper hand and an opportunity to pressure back and maybe even take high ground from them. But if they're just sitting on high ground and you're sitting on low ground and nothing's happening, then you might want to get out of there, because you don't want to be stuck in a fight for 10 minutes of the game. If at any point in a fight you're weak, run for your life. The most important thing in trios is that you get the first knock in a fight to get the upper hand. Once you get that knock, you should have a free win in that fight. Just stick together and push the last two as a team. If it's a 3v2, there's no excuse to getting knocked, or getting split from your trio. You need to stick together because that's a free dub. If one of your teammates does get knocked, you should try to throw them into a safe place and res if possible. If you can't res, at least you got them to a safe place where they can't get shook down and finished. If you lose a team member in a fight, the other team is going to pressure hard and try to get you split. So do your best to stick together or just dip from the fight as a duo. If you get knocked in late game, say it's by a sniper or a triple spray or something, you need to instantly res. Have one player expand, the other player grabs the downed body, and then once you get to a safe place, one player holds, the other revives. If you ever watch pros play, they know exactly what to do when one of their teammates gets knocked. They expand out like 5 boxes instantly and just make themselves super secure, and then one person starts holding and the other reses. It's so fast and so efficient. That's what you need to do. Because you don't want to lose a teammate. If you have all 3 teammates, even if one is weak, your chances of survival are so much higher. So now let's talk a little bit about rotations. In trios, positioning is insanely important. If you're the team rotating into 2nd, 3rd, 4th zones really late, you're most likely going to get held in storm or storm fought and die. Try to get the loot that you need, the necessary loot, and rotate early. Get good positioning early in the game. That's the best thing you can do for your team. Even if you have less heals than you want, just get a refresh in late game with a harpoon or by wiping a trio. In trios, you have 3 sets of mats, so you'll be chillin' if you don't all have max materials. Just get good positioning and work with what you got. Playing consistent is most important. Aim for those placement points and get your kills off spawn and in late game, just like in scrims. You gotta keep in mind that in the first round of FNCS, so many teams qualify for the second round that you just need a few pop-off games. You don't need to have like 10 good games and like a really good W key game. If you just play consistent, you'll make it. And never lose hope if you fall behind in the tournament, because 1 or 2 pop-off games is all you need, and you'll be right back in it. In late game, the IGL should try to identify dead side of zone, or the side with the least amount of players. In moving zones, this could be the front side of zone, left or right side, low ground or mid ground, but the IGL just needs to scan the area and try to see where the least amount of players are, because if you get caught up where every single team is, it's going to be so hectic. But if you get to dead side of zone, it's literally going to feel like you're in a dead lobby. Like you could be in a Storm Surge endgame, but if you're on dead side of zone, it'll feel like there's barely any teams. That's how much of a difference dead side makes. The hard part is identifying dead side of zone though. If you struggle with this, you should check out Arab, because he makes a lot of good tutorials about how to find dead side, whether it be the early zones like 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or in moving zones. He has tutorials on all that and really good IGL tutorials, so go check that out. As an IGL, your whole mission is to get good positioning. So let your teammates do the fragging and focus only on tunneling and positioning yourself. Try to stay towards the front side of zone. If you keep your tunnel on the front side of zone, you'll most likely be chilling. But once you fall behind zone, like your team is probably going to get split. Anytime you're on the backside of zone, it gets so chaotic that it's hard to stick together. So stay ahead. It's your job as IGL to keep your team in a good spot in zone. That should be your only focus. And I know me, as I've been trying to learn IGLing, it's always so tempting to look for kills. Like you'll see something free and you want to shoot at it, but you just need to stay focused on staying ahead more than anything else. If you see something that's free, tell your teammates and you can triple spray it for a second, but your main focus is staying ahead. Be sure to tell your teammates when you're low on mats. Tell them when you need refreshes. If you get split, you all need to be communicating about where to meet. Like say one player is further ahead than the rest of you, you should be communicating to get to that player that's on the front side of zone. You know, regroup on Jivantv, stuff like that. Now, if you're a fragger or a supporter in late game, the supporter's job is to be at everybody's beck and call. So if you're a supporter, you want to stay in between the IGL and the fragger. If the fragger sees a fragging opportunity, he's going to call you over and you're going to work together to get that kill. But if IGL needs help in the front, supporter's going to be right there ready to help. 2 strategies that work really well for getting refreshes in late game are 1, doing my duo piece control strategy, where one player piece controls and then gets somebody full boxed, and then you edit on them and shoot them as a team. So the supporter and fragger can work on that together to get refreshes. Another thing you can do is spray at an enemy's wall together, and then someone with a low ping can grab that wall and then edit through, and you apply pressure in that way. One person spraying the wall, the others grabbing the walls and editing through, trying to piece control the enemies on the other side. Those are 2 really good ways to get refreshes in late game. And another quick one is just trying to cut people off on their rotates. Say you see a team tunneling ahead, try to slip a cone in their box and maybe grab a wall, and then you can edit on them and attack them as a trio. You can also try to get ahead of a trio's tunnel and then spray back at them. If there's 3 people spraying down somebody's tunnel, then they're going to feel so much pressure and be in shambles after that. Last thing to note is that high ground is obviously super OP in trios, so do whatever you can to grief high ground. If there's a team up there, they are in the biggest advantage, so if you have an opportunity to snipe someone on high ground, do it, and if you get that snipe, take high ground from them. If you get a big refresh on low ground and you have really good mats, it might be time to push for high ground. It's obviously all situational, but just keep in mind, high ground is key, and don't forget to look at high ground often. And if you see an opportunity to go for it, and do whatever you can to hold it. If you are on high ground, you need to be spraying at the team that's second to high ground, or the team that's closest to high ground. Spray at that team as a trio, and then pressure them until they drop. If you feel your trio needs some extra tips, go check out Ken Bean's 100 Pro Tips to Master Trios in Fortnite. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you out, be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to use code Jivantv in the item shop. Thanks guys, I'll see you in the next video.